So when we appropriate our blast hose to do a blast job, we never crimp the hose, the main blast hose, of any consequence. We always have large radiuses, primarily because what you're doing is you're creating another blast nozzle by pinching that hose. So if you bend or crimp the hose, you're restricting the amount of air and abrasive coming through that now diminished orifice within inside that hose. So by crimping it or depressing the wall of the hose itself, you're creating a restriction, and that restriction is susceptible to the amount of abrasive and velocity of the air that you've got travelling through there. So you will eventually undermine the integrity of the blast hose. The worst consequence of that is, where the operator is, if he bends that hose to do a certain job or get into tight areas, the fact is he's creating a hot spot within the hose. The wall of the hose is undermined, its integral strength becomes diminished, and ultimately the abrasive will end up blowing a hole out of that. Now, irrespective of what is contained within this blast hose, which is a braiding, an inner liner, and then your outer, there's also an earth strap in there to compensate for static electricity, which can be a consequence of where you are, up on scaffold, not earthing the pot and so forth. So all of these integral aspects of the blast hose wall are undermined primarily by you doing this. So it's important to remember that you've got a good radius for the blast hose. Don't pinch the blast hose. If I need to use it in confined spaces, what I would do then is remove this and utilise what we call a Mighty Mite hose, which is smaller in size, smaller nozzle, and gives you adaptability in relation to what you're trying to achieve as far as the blasting is concerned. You can also change the hose completely to a Mighty Mite hose, a smaller hose, which then it gives you more manoeuvrability in relation to smaller or confined areas. So there's a job for every piece of equipment that you utilise. If you've got the wrong piece of equipment for the job, ultimately you're putting yourself at risk and others. So if there is a problem with it, you need to identify it and change the equipment to appropriate the requirement or the outcome of the total job itself.